You want this look, the seamless, buried, or tucked suppressor under the handguard. It's the ultimate clean AR aesthetic, isn't it? Getting here can be a measurement nightmare though. It feels like one wrong move means you have to buy a completely new handguard, or worse, you have to buy a completely different suppressor. So guys, stop the guessing. I'm going to give you the single most critical number and the exact equation to guarantee your suppressor will fit your new oversized handguard every single time. The first measurement that we need to take into account is the length and the diameter. Let's start with the diameter, which will tell us the gap between the handguard and the suppressor. The suppressor's outside diameter, or OD, typically on most AR-15 suppressors is 1.5 to 1.75 inches, which means your handguard's inside diameter, or ID, must be larger, generally around 1.75 inches or more. But if you're a weirdo who loves M-LOK accessories, if the gap between the suppressor and the handguard is too small, approximately 0.2 inches, you will not be able to use M-LOK screws in that area because they will physically hit the suppressor, which is a common mistake that a lot of people run into after the fact. The most crucial concept to grasp when designing a suppressor-ready AR is what we call the golden rule. Your handguard length absolutely must be greater than the effective barrel length. Let me tell you what I mean. To put a number to it, the simple formula is handguard length must be greater than the barrel length minus 0.625 inches. Now why 6.25 inches? That number is the standard length of the threads on a 5.56 or 30 caliber barrel, and it marks the true starting point of your suppressor once it's mounted. If you want to know exactly how far your suppressor will tuck back inside your handguard, then we can use this full equation here. Tuck depth equals handguard length minus the exposed barrel length minus 0.625 inches. You might have a 10.5 inch barrel and a 10-inch handguard and then think, great, you've got half an inch of clearance. But what you're forgetting about is the receiver recess. See, when you seat your barrel inside your upper receiver, there's about 0.55 inches of barrel extension that disappears inside the upper receiver itself. This means your effective protrusion, or the actual amount of steel sticking out from the face of the receiver, is always shorter than the listed barrel length. If you don't account for that, your suppressor might end up tucked deeper into the handguard than you intended, which can make accessing your mounting collar or your M-LOK slots around the suppressor a total nightmare if you don't plan for it. Always calculate your tuck depth based on the protrusion, not just the barrel length listed, or you're going to be reaching for a hacksaw to fix your clearance issues. No one wants that. Let's apply the formulas to an example now. A 15-inch handguard, an 11.5 inch barrel, and a 6.5 inch length suppressor. First, we check whether the handguard is long enough using the golden rule. This rule says the handguard length must be longer than the barrel length minus 0.625 inches. In this case, the barrel length is 11.5 inches minus the thread length 0.625 inches equals 10.875 inches. Since the handguard is 15 inches long, it is more than long enough, so no worries there. Now we calculate the tuck depth, which is how far the suppressor sits inside the handguard. To find this, subtract the usable barrel length, 10.875 inches, from the handguard length, 15 inches. This gives a tuck depth of 4.125 inches. Finally, because the suppressor is 6.5 inches long, the portion that extends past the handguard is found by subtracting the tuck depth from the suppressor length. That leaves 2.375 inches of suppressor protruding beyond the handguard. Pretty simple. Now let's talk about how the suppressor attaches to your barrel, because that can make a difference in your calculation. First up, direct thread. This is the simplest method, and I'm not going to show you to apply with all of our guidelines around here. but the suppressor mounts directly to the muzzle threads, no questions asked. The equation for barrel length and the suppressor tuck works exactly as we've outlined. It's clean, simple, and straightforward. Second, there's quick detach, or QD. A QD mount allows you to quickly attach and detach your suppressor, but here's the obstacle. The mount itself adds physical length to the barrel before the suppressor even starts in a lot of cases. When you go direct thread, your barrel threads and the suppressor threads are basically shaking hands. There's almost no total overlap, but when you switch to quick detach, you're introducing two middlemen, the muzzle device and the adapter collar. If you're using something like the Q Plan B or the Rearden Atlas, you're barely feeling it. These use simple taper mounts. You're looking at maybe 0.1 or 0.3 inches of added length. It's the closest you can get to direct thread without actually being direct threaded. Then you've got the SilencerCo ASR. It's a classic, but that locking ring adds about half an inch to 0.75 inches beyond your muzzle device. So be careful. Then there's the Dead Air Chemo and the SureFire SOCOM systems. Don't get me wrong, these are bomb-proof mounts. They're satisfying, they click, and they never back out. But you're paying for that peace of mind in length. A chemo mount can add upwards of 1.3 inches to your overall length compared to a direct thread. On a 10-3 Mark 18 with quad rails, that might not matter to you, but if you're trying to get a precise look from your can being tucked in just the right way, then that's something you have to keep in mind. Listen, you could skip all of this and just buy a barrel and suppressor and hope it works when it all shows up at your door someday. But to determine the exact amount your muzzle device will tuck inside your handguard, I'm gonna repeat the equation one more time before you guys leave so you don't forget it. Simply subtract the length of your exposed barrel, your total barrel length, minus 0.55 inches. Then take that barrel length minus 0.625 inches. From the overall handguard length, the resulting number is your tuck depth, which tells you how much of the muzzle device will be recessed within the handguard. This simple equation is the only way to ensure you get the perfect aesthetic you want without the expensive and painful process of trial and error. You now have the power to spec your build exactly down to the millimeter, guys. Congratulations. Remember that the perfect clean look we showed right at the start of the video, that perfect look is no longer guesswork or luck. It's just a simple equation that saves you time, frustration, and money. So you now know how to fit your suppressor under your suppressor-ready handguard. But the question is, which suppressor-ready handguard is the best one for you? Well, to find out, I did a whole video on that very topic right here, so go check that out.